Well, today is an exciting day. We are going to be talking about this is like probably the most important live that we've done like ever. So make sure you're staying on for this, okay? Because we're talking about the risks that will come up by not having specialized pregnancy support. So if you are, especially if you're on the fence about the healthy autoimmune pregnancy protocol or our pregnancy consulting, and you're like, I know it's good, but like there's something missing. This is the live for you. Okay. You should
Mhm.
listen. So stay here. Cassie, would you like to open up the floor?
Yes. Okay. So today we were talking about, as Michaela said, we were talking about the risks that you may either be facing without getting specialized supports and the risks of things that you might be losing if you aren't getting the specialized
Mhm.
pregnancy support for your autoimmune diagnoses. So I'm going to start off talking a little bit about the risks associated and I hope I don't offend anyone in any way, and just trigger warning, we are going to talk about some things that might dive a little deep for some people, but these are the realities, and we need to create a space where we can talk about it, but also talk about what we can do differently. So one of the biggest things with pregnancies in general, if we're not taking care of ourselves, but especially with an autoimmune diagnosis, um, is the risk for pregnancy complications. Now, everyone is at risk for pregnancy complications, but just as we may be more prone to developing certain things because of genetics or environmental factors or whatever, we may, as women with autoimmune diagnoses, may be more at risk for these pregnancy complications. So, some of the main ones that we see are gestational diabetes, we see gestational hypertension, which could lead to preeclampsia. We see adrenal fatigue and just low energy levels. We can see extreme weight loss during pregnancy, which is never good. We can see, excessive weight gain during pregnancy, which causes their own issues. And a lot of these are tied together. They're not typically like you just get one. You can be at risk for developing gestational diabetes if we have higher than average weight gain. We might be at risk for one of the things that I was going to talk about is having a baby that's large for gestational age. So that would be like, having complications during your birth because of that. But some of those things are related to having either gestational diabetes or, type 1 diabetes if we have higher levels during pregnancy. So all of these tie together. Another thing is not having a full term pregnancy, having that preemie, maybe having a baby that's small for gestational age because we weren't gaining enough weight during pregnancy. Um, and we can also have all of these postpartum issues from these pregnancy complications. So if we're not nourishing our bodies enough, we can have nutrient depletion, which can cause breastfeeding issues and postpartum depression and flare-ups. We can also any of like gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, all of these things play a role in the onset of lactation. So when is your milk going to come in postpartum if you're planning on breastfeeding? So all of these things, it's not just this immediate problem that's occurring. It's going to affect your pregnancy, it's going to affect your baby's health, and it's going to affect your health long term. So all of these complications, while there is a higher risk, there are things that we can do to reduce the risk of these complications, as we know. And that's, one of the things that we do in our specialized support in our one-on-one healthy autoimmune pregnancy protocol. And some of the other things that I wanted to talk about as well, outside of just the individual level, is typically providers don't necessarily know all of the things that you need to know to have a healthy pregnancy with your autoimmune diagnoses. That's why we have specializations, but your GYN may not be super familiar. They may not know to refer you to your endocrinologist for certain levels. They may not know to be checking your levels. Maybe you have a great endocrinologist and they're checking that. Maybe you don't. And not to say that you won't be getting support from there, you will, but sometimes doctors have 10 minutes for you and you can only ask so many questions, and then they kind of, you get steamrolled, or you feel like, you leave with more questions than you came in, all of these things. um, Typically there's a ton of anxiety and overwhelm with pregnancy. There's a lot of information that's going to hit you all at once, and things that, like, we're just talking about, a lot of times a breastfeeding or even just like a birthing class is like 5 hours, 1 5-hour class, and that's it. That's all the information you get wrapped up into 5 hours. And like, heck, if I remember, like what I ate for lunch today. You know, like, how are you going to remember all of that stuff? Are they giving you this information? Are they giving you resources to follow up with? All of these things. Dr. Google is not your friend. They can be helpful in some areas, but sometimes to actually get the correct information that is actually going to be helpful to you may not be easy to read, may not be easy to find, may not be something that you know where to look for or know how to discern. So a lot of times it can be almost worse for your health than not. Um, and my last point here is that, you know, we tend to, as a society in general, say, like, I'm fine till I have a problem. And we really promote this kind of the preventative approach here. While you may be, you know, especially because you may be more at risk for certain things, um, we know that getting the support to reduce risk of complications is so much better for you and your health than to come to us after you've developed a complication, because the, you know, you can kind of reverse some things. Maybe you maybe be able to kind of downplay the effects of it, but a woman with that has that preeclampsia like onset during pregnancy, you will be induced early. You will be like at 38 weeks or earlier. And 38 weeks isn't bad, but some women earlier with other things. That is just a fact. Women with gestational diabetes whose baby is suspected to be large for gestational age will have a C-section. In most cases, they will have that. And so all of these things can be prevented, and you never know what you're going to get. You really can't say for sure. And so if you are feeling like you are needing that support, you know, don't hesitate, because these things aren't reversible. Sometimes the damage is done, sometimes it's not, and sometimes we can catch it, but we never want a woman to feel like she doesn't know where to go and get to the point where there's almost no turning back. We want to make sure that you are getting the support you need so that you don't run into these. That's scary. Like, I get scared thinking of all these things, and we don't want you to have a traumatic birth. We don't want you to have a traumatic pregnancy and then come back with your second pregnancy and be like, I need you guys now because I don't want that to happen to me again. We want you to be like, I'm so glad this didn't happen to me, that I had this pregnancy that I enjoyed. So kind of went off on a little soapbox there, but Michaela, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that was fab. That was painted the picture quite well, and I just think
Thank you.
that you can continue, because that was, yeah, it's really, really important. We don't, a lot of times people reach out to us after they've experienced bad things, and then they work with
Yeah.
us and then they didn't experience it again. So what can we learn from this? We can learn that if we sorry, my allergies, if we reach out for specialized support the first time around, we will have a better outcome. All right, continue.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think that was my main point. So now, Michaela, if you could tell us the things that they could risk missing out. So we just talked about the risk if you're coming on later. We just talked about the risk that you face with not getting this specialized pregnancy support. So Michaela's going to talk about things that you may miss out on, risking missing out on, while if you do not get the specialized support.
Absolutely. So, very first and most prominent is that you will reduce the chances of pregnancy complications. I mean, like, that's what the risk of missing out on reduced chance for pregnancy complications. That's a lot of that's like a triple negative. So basically, you have a less chance of pregnancy complications, and that is science. That's not a marketing scheme. That's not some tool to get you into our program. It is science, and it is fact that pregnancy support reduces chance for pregnancy complications, because your nutritional foundation is maximized, because your mental health is the best that it can be. Your stress levels are reduced dramatically because you have a team that is always there for you. Your enjoyment, your quality of life is going to be so much better with specialized support. Like one of our clients right now, actually, I said this story on our Instagram live. We should say it again. Every single one of our clients has experienced the positive benefits of having nutrition support and lifestyle support and breastfeeding support, and it's amazing. But the thing that they remember ultimately is when we were there for them throughout their emotional mental health journey. Because every pregnancy, you are going to run into these deep-rooted limited beliefs, these childhood ingrained traumas that you didn't even know you had, these insecurities that go back to maybe years, and you're going to experience it because you are transforming into, this is a little woo woo, but you're transforming into a higher version of yourself, becoming a mother. That is the next level of being a woman, right? Like that's a whole new, not in like a level that like what level's better, but it's a completely different space. That is a different space of being. So these insecurities, these deep rooted fears are going to come out, and every single one of our clients have had at least one or two incredibly deeply rooted fears and traumas that have come out during their pregnancy experience, either during prenatal, during birth, or postnatal, and they were ultimately the most grateful that they had a team to help them get through that. And we're not therapists, we're not going to say that we are, but because we are there for you 24/7, you have message it, you have access to us all the time, unlimited amount of time. You know that there's people there for you. And so like that knowing, it's not even that we're in communication all the time, but the knowing that you could be is like so powerful. And one of our clients right now, it's like she's like, I didn't realize how much this was going to be emotional. So anyway, I'm focusing a lot on the emotional right now, but basically you could be, your quality of life could be so much better, your mental health could be so much better, your happiness could be so much better, your stress levels could be so reduced. Another example of reduction of stress levels, one of our clients, she went to her OBGYN and she was like, the doctor said, so do you have an infant nutrition plan? And she's like, immediately I found anxiety and like my cortisol levels went up, but I realized that I had you guys, like I had people, I'm okay, I'm ready. And that like totally relieved the stress on her shoulders because she knows that she doesn't have to like do extra thinking. She's got a team already. And then her friends even were like, hey, like they're pregnant too, of course, right? We're all pregnant at the same time. And they're like, do you want to go to this 5-hour class with us? And she said no, because she's like, honestly, I know that that's going to stress me out. It's going to be 5 hours of information that is going to go in one ear and out the other. And if I don't need to put that kind of anxiety and stress on my pregnancy, why would I? And like, it's so empowering. It is empowering to know that you have people on your side all the time. You have, if you have a question like Dr. Google, like Cassie said, you don't have to stir, you don't have to find the right resource. You know where to go because we're checking the science for you. If we don't know it already, we are doing the research for you. You don't have that stress and anxiety. Another example, we'll just have another example, but is the stress of telling family members that you're pregnant. And one of our clients was there was like, you know, we all have our dramas, right? But there was stress around telling certain family members, certain friends, certain timelines because somebody else was still trying to conceive, and like that anxiety about like, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. And then another parent was like, whatever, it's the life drama that we all live, right? But one of our calls, we literally talked about that for like an hour because telling the people around you that you're pregnant is a big deal. And she was so grateful that she could take that time and really be able to go deep into why it was bothering her. And she felt so much lighter afterwards. So, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going on a soapbox, but ultimately better mental health, reduce stress, because we process it together, we go through it together. And you have an autoimmune diagnosis, I'm sure you feel fatigue more often than other people, such as myself, Hashimoto's. It happens. We get stressed, we get anxious, and anxiety comes with depression. It is all interlinked, and our job is to help you not be perfect, not go through those things, but come out stronger and like move forward faster. So the risk is your mental health and your stress levels. Like, are you willing to risk that, or do you want to do everything in your power to enjoy it? Anyway, Cassie, would you like to like fix some loose ends? Because I don't know what.
Sure, yeah. So a lot of that, like Michaela focused on like the mental health aspect, which is ultimately like one of the biggest end results that we see, but that's not something that you will probably think about right now. You might be thinking like, wow, I'm really stressed out because I don't know what foods to eat during pregnancy and what foods to not eat during pregnancy. We make sure you are fully aware of all of the foods that are good to eat during pregnancy. We'll make sure that you have an individualized plan for you. We're not going to give you a diet plan, but make sure that you know how to eat balance and all that. And that in itself is going to reduce stress. It's going to reduce your risk for complications, and it's going to make you feel confident and ease your mental state. So all
Yeah.
of these little things will go into lifestyle factors. Michaela, she doesn't like to talk about herself that much, but she is amazing at making sure that you have all of the knowledge to create a healthy lifestyle, to create a routine that fits all of the things that you're looking for, to create and promote health. We are, as we are registered dietitians, we know the foods that might cause flare-ups. We know the foods that work really well with pregnancy, and tying that together with your autoimmune diagnoses and how it all plays together, and just how pregnancy might be affecting your autoimmune diagnosis, how pregnancy is going to affect your everyday routine. All of these things are things that we go over and that we start off with getting there, and these are things that are going to bring up these emotions and bring up these traumas and all of that, and maybe be like, okay, how is eating nutritionally going to bring up traumas? And you would be surprised. All of these things, we know how it's not surface level. It's not just like, here's a meal plan and go for it, have a healthy pregnancy. There's so many things that goes into just this transition to motherhood, and that's why we have this, among many reasons, why we have this from early pregnancy to about 6 months postpartum, because we are here for your journey. While we give you the tactical information, the tangible, like, here is a handout and information and how on foods to avoid during pregnancy, why, and how to, and then we'll give you how to implement this in your life, as well as, hi, I don't know how I'm going to be a mom because this, and this. So everything under the sun that goes with it. And that's why we're here for you 24/7. We have our calls, we have our check-ins. As much as it is not maybe necessarily that full face-to-face, we are here for you. And it feels like we are actually holding your hand the whole time. So,
I would like to add something.
yeah.
Also focus so much on like the mental health because it is so huge, but also not so that we talked a lot about our prenatal stages. And so, but what we want to highlight though for you is that your entire prenatal experience is going to depict how your postpartum
Mhm.
the experience, and it's going to dictate how you heal postpartum, how fast you heal. You're going to heal faster with specialized support. Your infant nutrition plan is going to be significantly more successful with specialized support because you're going to run into roadblocks we promise. That's actually a promise. I can 100% promise that you will, because that's why a lot of women, they are ultimately not able to meet their breastfeeding goals because they do not have specialized support. So there are so many things that you are missing out on by not investing in specialized support during your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. And this is only the beginning. And honestly, Cassie and I are working on to not be talking so much about all these things, but they just make us so passionate that it's tough, okay? But I mean, it's also confidence. It is also just feeling really good in your skin. It is, like Cassie said, learning to balance our meals, but confidently, and to help measure our glucose or balance our glucose levels. And that'll help us long term with our autoimmune diagnoses. Um, Mindfulness, activity. There's just so much that we'll touch on together as a group. And this is a journey, and you are so worthy of having the best journey possible. So that is our mission. We
Yeah.
love you. Cassie, you want to add anything before we do our big finale?
No, I don't think so. I think these are all like, I feel like we talk about a lot of these things individually,
Mhm.
and we just really wanted to like paint the picture of what this looks like. And while it is really a lot of information and really kind of scary, we want you to know that these are possibilities, but we don't want you to have this. We don't want you to have to go through that. We have the knowledge to be able to get you to from point A to point B. Obviously there's some zigzags in there. It's not a straight line, but as painlessly and seamlessly as possible. So if you are looking for our support and looking into the healthy autoimmune pregnancy protocol, Michaela, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? Oh, I think you're frozen. All right, I'll tell us a little bit more about that. So our healthy autoimmune pregnancy protocol, as we said, we love it when women come in about, end of their first trimester, because we know that's a very kind of back and forth time. We want to make sure that we are having like it is actually a real pregnancy and all of that. So about the end of our first trimester, and then it's 12 months. We have you until about 6 months postpartum. So we are there for you. Nutritionally, we are there for you. Emotionally, we are there for you. All of those great, amazing things. Hello, welcome back, Miss Michaela. And we are there for you as you transition into motherhood, healing, and infant nutrition, all of that fun, amazing stuff. So if you are looking for the support, if you are looking to learn more, we'll put the link in the comments below. And if you are just looking to kind of dip your toes in a little bit and just kind of figure out what this whole autoimmune pregnancy deal is about, we also have our freebie. So you, again, completely free, our mini course on the top 3 mistakes that women with autoimmune diagnoses make during their pregnancy. So also check that out. We also, if you sign on to get the freebie, we're offering our support audit for free. So there's a lot of things, but if you are just looking for some more information, DM us, DM me. I should have DM'd every single person in here. So if you've had a DM message from me, make sure to go back and check that out and send me any questions that you have, and we could set up a time to chat and see if this would be a good fit for you. So thank you so much. I apologize, Michaela. Heading out early, but Wi-Fi is always crazy right now. I feel like, especially this time of day when people start to come home. But yeah, again, if you have any questions, we would love to hear from you. And thank you so much for listening. And make sure if you watch this live to let us know. And if you're watching it on replay, let us know in the comments. All right. Thanks so much. Bye.